Hi there, and welcome back to my Paper 1 series. In this video, I'm going to go through the extract of The Life of Pi for Language Paper 1, question 4, and show you the process of how to answer this question. If you looked at my previous video, I went through the extract. I talked a lot about the ideas about how the hyena does in fact act in a rather funny way rather than frightening, and it does pose no serious threat to Pi. So this is what I'm going to establish in my answer. I want to show you guys the process or how I would go about answering this question. I don't think about a structure as in a PEE or a petal. I think those structures can often confuse us and take us away from the main meaning within the extract. Based on my ideas, I do think that the hyena does behaves in a funny manner. So that is going to be my first main point. And then I'm thinking, how am I going to support this? So if I come back to the extract and I'm going to use the bit where it says it did 1 lap, 2, 3, 4 onwards, etc. and the noises that it makes. Yeah. So this is going to be the main foundation of my first paragraph. So I'm going to put here the whole lap or the whole time, lap after lap. I'm going to embed that quote. So lap after lap, that's going to be my first bit. And then if I come back, I'm going to talk about the noise that it makes. So yip, yip, yip in a high pitched way. So I'm going to use that as well as my quote to support my answer. That's my quote. And now I'm going to use that to form my foundation. So now I'm thinking, what is this quote showing us? And it's showing to me that the hyena represents a form of entertainment. So it's a form of entertainment. It's humorous. So the noises that it produces evokes laughter as opposed to fear. Yeah. So that begins a bit of my analysis. And then if we look here, so the yip, 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 the writer is using the idea of repetition of the sound. So we've got the idea of sensory language. And why is that sensory language being used? The hyena is out of control. It goes against the idea of it being vicious and ready to attack the narrator. It doesn't attack the narrator. It doesn't want to attack the narrator. The hyena is kind of detached from the narrator. Is the hyena in control of its senses? Probably not. So I'll put here as well, the hyena lacks control and composure over its senses. So it's posing no threat. To the narrator. So these are my ideas. So I've got enough here to start writing and developing my answers. I agree to a great extent that the hyena behaves in a funny manner, which establishes the idea that it poses no threat. Yeah, so now I need to embed the quote. So that's my first point. I can add a bit more, but I'll tidy this up as I'm going along. So if I go here, the hyena seems to be detached from reality. And goes against the idea is far from frightening. As it circles lap after lap in a frantic manner, whilst making uncontrolled such as it beep beep in a high-pitched way. So now I've embedded the quote. I need to start analyzing it. So this suggests, or this creates a sense of entertainment for the reader. As it evokes laughter as opposed to fear. Then I'll put the repetition of the slang. The hyena is out of control. It's far from fulfilling the role of a predator is to pounce, who may pounce upon the narrator. Right. So the noises that it makes, yeah? It's high-pitched noises. So I'm going to zoom in now. Its high-pitched noises depicts the idea that it, and I'm going to come here, that it lacks control and composure over its senses, thus posing no threat to the narrator. The hyena is battling with itself, trying to make sense of the situation. Its erratic behavior suggests it has become fragile due to the experience and its imminent threat towards the narrator has become neutralized. Its behavior poses no threat. The narrator, despite the feelings of anxiety that exist within pride, who perhaps expected an attack from this so-called predator. Okay, so that is my first point. Now, what I'm going to do is read it out, and then we're going to think, what have I done in order to answer the question? I agree to a great extent that the hyena behaves in a funny manner, which establishes the idea that it poses no threat to the narrator. I've linked my first point very closely to the statement. The hyena seems to be detached from reality and is far from frightening as it circles lap after lap in a frantic manner whilst making uncontrolled sounds such as yip 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 in a high-pitched way. This creates a sense of entertainment for the reader as it evokes laughter as opposed to fear. Developing on the idea of the hyena and what it's actually doing, the repetition of the sounds emphasizes that the hyena is out of control. It is far from fulfilling the role of a predator who may pounce upon the narrator. This idea was perhaps foreshadowed at the beginning of the text. Its high-pitched noises depicts the idea that it lacks composure over its senses, thus posing no threat to the narrator. We know that animals or these types of creatures need to be in control of their senses and in control of everything around them in order to successfully attack its prey. The hyena is battling with itself and trying to make sense of the situation. Its erratic behavior suggests that it has become fragile due to the experience, and its imminent threat towards the narrator has become neutralized. Its behavior poses no threat to the narrator, despite the feelings of anxiety within Pi, the narrator, who perhaps expected an attack from this predator. So in my opinion, I've spoken about how the hyena behaves, addressed the first point. I've evaluated how the writer presents the threat of the hyena to Pi and supported it with references from the text. I've spoken about the methods used, embedded quotes, and explained what these quotes are doing. I've constantly taken it back to the behavior of the hyena. If we look at what AQA says in its mark scheme for question 4, it gives us indicative content, which is always useful to look at. It says here, to gain a level 4 perceptive detailed evaluation. It would be easy to initially see the hyena's wild behavior as frightening, but when you look at how it is described, then it is definitely more amusing. The way that it ran in circles would be intimidating if it was circling its prey. So I did speak about that moment and its behavior. It is just making itself increasingly sick and confused, despite Pi remaining frozen with fear. The hyena is becoming sick, and Pi reacts to this anxiety. The writer uses the repeated circular motion as a symbol for the hyena's pointless behavior, as if it does not have a clue what it is doing. This is made even more ridiculous by the repetition of the onomatopoeic yip noise that the animal makes. While this is going on all morning, it would certainly be annoying. It is hardly the noise of a ferocious predator. The more you say the sound, the more trivial it actually becomes. So it doesn't actually behave in the manner that you expect from a predator. The repetitive nature of both movement and sound, how both of these are being combined, emphasizes to the reader the bizarre performance that Pi is forced to endure until the sudden anticlimax, reference to structure, removes any remaining sense of a threat altogether. This is a different perspective, but our ideas do overlap. When you look at these models that AQA give and mark scheme, your answer does not need to be identical to that. My ideas definitely link to these points, but here they've spoken about more points and evaluated it more thoughtfully. By my opinion, is it a perceptive, detailed evaluation? Am I applying a lot of thought to my response? I would say I am here. So this would get into a level 4 response within the mark scheme. So I hope just by looking at the mark scheme and the model answer, that it helps you to structure your ideas. And if you look at the working out that I showed as well, it's important to understand how I got to developing this answer. The process is always important. I think students often go for a quote and then they look for a method and then they want to use the method to formulate their point. But I would dismiss that approach and say it's more important to understand the idea. What is the idea of the hyena? How is it behaving? What is it that makes it funny as opposed to frightening? Establishing that main point, then picking out your evidence to support it, then analyzing the evidence and evaluating it. So constantly wrestling with their idea of how the hyena is behaving wildly as opposed to it being frightening. And then concluding with the idea that it's actually no threat to pi. So I think that's the process we should go through in terms of answering this question. What I will do in my next videos is I will go through other question 4 extracts and other parts of language paper 1 in order to show you how to answer these questions in a range of different ways to help you formulate your ideas and improve your performance for this paper. I hope you found that useful. Share your comments in the chat. Let me know what you thought about it. And if there's any other topics that you want me to cover, leave a comment. Make sure you like and subscribe. I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching.